Any indication from anyone, perhaps just agreed to say hi to me? Anyway, started. Yes? Perfect. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Let's get started, learners. We are having 3 sessions. Our first session will be starting as of now till 9:45. Then you will have a short break of 15 minutes. Okay? Now our first session will deal with finance, as you can see there on your page. It will deal with finance, data handling, and some probability. Okay? As of this year, we do not necessarily work with the question paper, since we will be having a new format of questions at the end of the year, primarily dealing with finance, paper 1, and data handling and some probability. The majority of the questions deals with finance, about 60%. Okay? So if you look at your first question, what is so beautiful about mathematical literacy? We deal with real life workplace documents. Every topic that you see in maths literacy deals primarily with the world of work, whether it is at the municipality, whether it is at SARS, whether it is a retail shop. So our documents are based on real life experiences. So if we go to question 1 here, we have a graph. Let's read quickly. The graphs below shows, it's 2 graphs given to us. The graph below shows the water tariffs for Cape Town and Johannesburg. Study the graphs below and answer the questions that follows. Okay. Now what I usually do when I have a question like this, I ask my learners to first familiarize themselves with the context. Okay. So you will look off before even looking at the questions and try and make sense. What's happening up here, corner here? Usually I speak like that because I teach at a school in Guguletu. So what's happening here, learners? You see there's 2 major cities, and there is a comparison of the cost of water. Okay, you will see there is Cape Town. Cape Town is having 6 steps, and Johannesburg is showing 8 steps there. Now, if you look at the bottom there, the key, they are comparing 2 years, 2016 stroke 2017. That is your dark color, the black or the darkest gray you can say. And then there's 2017 and 2018, which is your light gray. Okay, so they are comparing how the prices increase year on year between those 2 years. So let us see which one do you think went up extremely high, and what really happened in that year. Do you see Cape Town? Cape Town's water increased extremely high in comparison to Johannesburg. Let's just look at our, for example, look at our 6. In 2016, if you used water more than 50 kiloliters, it costed you 210 rand. In 2017, there was a drastic increase to 302 rand 24 cents. But if you look at Johannesburg, the usage of water for more than 50 kilos is only 38 rand 72 cents. So what happened actually in 2016-2015? So, the Western Cape experienced its worst drought. We even had a day 0. And people had to adjust their water limit usage to 50 liters per person, for example. So Based on that, our tariffs increased drastically as a means to save water. Okay, I think when that happened, most of you were at primary school, because that is 6-7 years ago. All right. So let's go into the first question. And my method of what I would like to do when I go to the questions is I will give you a minute to go through it yourself, and then we will compare our answers. Is that fine with you guys? I hope I could see you, but anyway, don't see you guys. So I feel like I'm talking here to myself. Anyway, question 1. State the type of graph used to represent this data. What type of graph is this? I think learners will easily identify it is a bar graph, but it is not your common bar graph. The bar graph is presented horizontally. Do you see that? So look at the way the graph is represented, and then you answer from there. Let's go to question 2 quickly. Arrange Cape Town's percentage increase in descending order. So I know many learners are having English as a second language, just like me, and sometimes we are so eager because we know it's such an easy question and we just start arranging. But this is a trick, because the common method of arranging is ascending order, and here they're asking descending order. So what does descending order mean? Be very careful with that question there. That could be a trick, especially for our learners that does not have English as a mother tongue. Okay, I'm going through these questions because it's quite basic questions. When you have 2 mark questions, it's quite basic questions. So 1.1.3, identify the step that indicates the largest increase in rand in Cape Town's water tariffs from 2016 to 2017 and from 2016 to 2017. So also be very careful here. They are asking rand increase and not necessarily percentage increase. Eh? This could be a trick here if you do not read with understanding. They ask increase in rand and not increase in percentage. 4th question. Determine in which one of these 2 cities water is more expensive. Okay. 5th, 1.1.5, calculate the cost of 3.5 kiloliters of water in Johannesburg during 2017-2018. Okay. Also, caution here for question 5. Do not necessarily identify in which step that question falls. There will be some calculation needed there. Okay. Last question is 1.1.6 pertaining to this graph. Is this data categorically or numerically? So now you need to know these 2 concepts. And what learners do, what we find when we mark that, learners usually just guess. You do not need to guess, learners. It's very important that you try and understand what does these concepts mean. I'm going to give you 5 minutes and I'll come back to you and we will discuss these questions. And please feel free to communicate with me any challenges, any difficulties that you are experiencing, or if I'm going too fast, or if you would have preferred that I break it up question by question and not just the whole range of questions like that. Thank you. Okay, learners, are you almost ready for me? There's not much calculation needed, so I so much wish someone can just respond. Don't feel so abstract here. Okay, I think 5 minutes is over. Let's get started with the answers. 1.1.1, 1.1.1, what did you get there? Okay, and 1.1.1 I worked out, and my answer was, let me go to 1.1 was horizontal. I don't know if you can see that clearly. I'm just trying to get the camera there. Okay, there you go. I hope you can see that. You can either call it a horizontal bar graph, or double compound, or a multiple bar graph. Okay? Alright. Number 2, 1.1.2. Arrange Cape Town's percentage increase in descending order from highest to lowest. We are so used to, from grade 10 and even at primary school, to do from lowest to highest. But sometimes our examiners by asking descending because learners sometimes forget to read with understanding. So descending should be from highest to lowest. So you start with the highest increase there, which is I'm getting disturbance. Can you see that? Can you see that? Okay. Can you see it clearly? Did you get the same answers there? Okay. 1.3, identify the step that indicates the largest increase in rand in Cape Town. Let's go up a bit. Let's go up a bit. There we go. Now if you look, there could be some problem here. Learners would perhaps look at increase on your far right. You will look at increase and they will see, oh, 71.6%, step 5. That's the largest increase. No, they ask for rand difference. So what you do here, you would say 113.99 cents minus 66 rand 41 cents. That difference, you compare that difference with 302 rand 24 cents minus 210 rand, and you will see step 6 answer, when you minus these two values, is the biggest value. Okay, although it's showing 51%, but 302 minus 200 is, the difference is bigger than 113 minus 66, 41 cents. Okay, just be careful there. It's a question that can be easily interpreted wrong. Okay, now let us go up. Let's continue with the next question. Determine in which one of the two cities water is more expensive. You can look either at the increases, percentage increases, or you can look at the actual differences of cost per unit per kiloliter, and you will see it is obviously Cape Town, for the reason I mentioned earlier, that we experienced in that period a very big drought. Okay, next question. Next question, you see that? Okay, there we have Cape Town. Now the next question here, 1.1.5. Can you see? What's here? Can you see me clearly?
This part.
Can you see me clearly? Move. Okay. Okay, there you go. Clear. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I think you have to use the Karriem.
Okay. Okay.
Or you can use it.
I'll go for one. Okay. Let's go to question 1.1.5 now. And the question was asking, calculate the cost of 3.5 kiloliters of water in Johannesburg during 2017-2018. Okay, very important to look at the year. Okay, it's 2017-2018. Okay, and what did we get there? We said 3.5 kiloliters. It's again not showing. I'm having some problems showing here. I got 305 kiloliters times 7 Rand 14, and it gave me 24 Rand 99 cents. So the problem that we as markers would see here is that learners sometimes would just identify the step, or just say, okay, it costs 7 Rand 14. Please, learners, that when you hear the word in a sentence, calculate, it means you need to do some calculations. You don't identify. The word is not, there's no word asking in this question, identify. But the word given here is calculate, which means you have to calculate 3.5 kiloliters with the 7 Rand 14. Okay. Last question. Last question. I hope you are all nicely settled in. Those who came a little bit late, we are finishing our first session in session 1. Is this data categorical or numerically? The data is numerically, okay? Why is the data numerically? Because it is, they're not asking you, but in some cases they can ask, like the common questions, they will ask, why is the data continuous or discrete? First identify, is it discrete or continuous, and why is it so? In this case, they are only asking us to identify if it is given categorically. Now, categorical data is data where it is not forming any mathematical steps. It could be your ID numbers, it could be your age groups. So, I'm sorry, numerically it's age groups, but categorically it can be any type of information that you can't really see to make it in a descending or an ascending order, or it doesn't really necessarily can be counted first position, second position. It is just a set of data that is there. Okay, so very important is that to know your concepts. Okay, especially inverse, continuous, discrete. numerical, categorical data? That is a very, very common question that has always been asked. Okay? Now, let's move on to our second question, our second part of our question. 1.2. Let me just see to get it on the screen. 1.2. Okay, you see that? Perfect. Okay. What is our context here? Our context deals with selling and selling price of clocks. So here this is for entrepreneur, our potential entrepreneurs. Maybe someone that intends to sell some clocks. Here is a question based on that. 1.2. Let's read. We are all settled in. The price list given below shows the selling price and profit for different types of clocks. Study the price list and answer the questions that follows. Okay, you have clock A, clock B, clock C, and clock D. Again, what we do not rush to our questions. We try and make sense of our context. Okay, and it is quite straightforward for different types of clocks, and you have a selling price and you have a profit. Okay, the selling price is the price that the entrepreneur, the business person, or the business person sold it for, was 3,000 for clock A, 3,350 rand, and the profit for that clock A made was 914 rand. Okay, clock B, same selling price, 220 rand, and the profit made on selling this clock at 220 rand was 60 rand. Clock C, 2,100 rand was the selling price, and the profit made on selling this clock at 2,100 rand was 573 rand. Clock D, selling price was 5,950 rand, and the profit made on that selling price of 5,950 rand is 1,623 rand. Okay, you will hear I'm emphasizing reading the totals as is. What I always find learners would say 59550. No, learners, we need to learn to read our values properly, whether it is in hundreds and thousands. It's very important. Okay, refrain from saying 1623. Say it's 1,623. Familiarize yourself and be comfortable in reading the values as you see it. It's very important. That is one of the concepts that we do test in maths literacy at the end of the year. And then here at the bottom, what are they saying? They say all prices exclude 14% VAT. So you can see this question paper, or this question was taken from a paper while South Africa's VAT was still standing at 14%. But we do know now South Africa's VAT is at 15%. Okay. Now, what does the word exclude mean? What does the word exclude mean? Remember, we have maths and we have literacy. So the literacy part is important to understand. Okay? All prices exclude 14% VAT. So another synonym for excluding will be is without. No? Without. Okay, or to understand the word exclude, use the word without. Okay, so there is no VAT calculated on this watches. Okay, VAT must still be added to it. Okay, and when you hear the word, when you were in grade 10, we started with calculation of VAT, and we normally would say 14% off an item. But the minute you hear the word exclude or include, we go and do the formula of VAT. Okay, where we will have it if it is excluding and including. Okay, we will get to that point. We will get to that point of the formulas that we will be using. Alright? So, can we now go to the questions? Paper 1 is quite straightforward. It's very straightforward question, okay? Explain the term cost price, okay? Okay, although it is in paper 1, in the past we would have this level 4 questions where you have to give an explanation, reasoning. We will only have that in paper 2, but as of last year, 2 years back from last year, we experienced that you could be asked reasoning questions even in paper 1, okay? And many of the concepts that was in the question paper in the past was finance concepts, okay? So here's a typical finance concept. Explain the term cost price, okay? Now it might be easy for learners who do commerce, your economics, business and accounting learners, but our learners that do the social science of geography and history, you should put more effort into learning these financial concepts because you're not always familiar with it. Last you've done it was maybe in grade 9. So please do not overlook the importance of understanding financial concepts. Okay, so the first question there is, explain the term cost price. Second question, 1.2.2, calculate the cost price of clock A excluding VAT, without VAT, excluding VAT. Very straightforward. 2 marks, the indication of marks will tell you it is extremely straightforward to answer. Okay. Number 1.2.3, write down the time on clock B using the 24-hour format if it represents the time in the evening. Again, write down the time on clock B. Let's go to clock B. Let's go to clock B. Here you see, it is not yet on the 2. The 2 represents 10, and it is nearest to 2 and further away from the 1 that represents 5 minutes. Okay, so estimate. You will see there's a few indicators, lines in between there, what the time can be. Okay, it's definitely not 5 past, and it is definitely not 10 past. Okay, learners are always comfortable in just using 5 past, 10 past or quarter past, but in many cases the examiner would like you to estimate more accurately. Okay, now last question on this particular topic, 1.2.4, calculate the total profit made if all 4 clocks are. So calculate the total profit made if all 4 clocks are. So I can only be experiencing could be question 1.2.2, but the other 3 questions are quite simplistic, so I'm giving you 4 minutes to answer.
Okay. Which one do you want? This one or this one? Remember to use the small calculator.
Okay. So learners, explain the term cost price. Cost price is the selling price. Okay, now you can see clearly the selling price minus profit. Okay. I hope you can see clearly that it's the selling price minus profit. Selling price minus profit. Okay. Okay. One point 2.2. Calculate the cost price of clock A excluding VAT. Calculate the cost price of clock A excluding VAT. You have the cost of clock A will be selling price minus profit, which gives you 3,350 minus 914, and then the cost price was 2,436 rand. Okay. Okay. Selling price minus the profit gives you the cost price, and the cost price is 2,406 rand. I hope we are all on board. Okay, let's go to 1.2.3. Let's look at that watch. If this was a class scenario, learners would be fighting now. No, 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 it's 5 past. No, no, it's 6 minutes past. No, no, it's 8 minutes. No, no, it's 10 minutes past. So what did you get there? It's the 24-hour format for 10 in the evening will be 22, né? 22 and 8 minutes, okay? In the evening, it will be 8 minutes for the evening, and we will represent it as 2:08. Perfect. Last question there. Calculate the profit, the total profit. The word here, calculate and total, very important. Okay, so it means you will have to do some calculations and you will add all the totals of the profit. So what did we do there? We will add 914 plus 60 rand plus 573 rand plus, what's the last one there? 1,623 rand. Gives us a total of 3,170 rand. I hope you guys have calculators with you. Please. It's very imperative, it's very important. If this was a class situation, my first point of departure would be to all have a calculator. It is senseless and very, very problematic to come to class unprepared, especially without a calculator. And you borrow from each other and take up unnecessary time. Alright, learners, I hope you all have a calculator with you. Let's go to the next question. Now, okay. Okay. We are now at 1.3 now.
Okay, so remember, you click here when you want to change the resources.
Okay, I want
so this is, which one do you want?
I want this one.
Okay, so what you do is you click here on the white space and then you go F3.
Okay, oh.
Yes.
Okay.
So
I did go F3, but I forgot the white space.
Yeah, you click on the white space and then you go F3. Alright.
So the whole time they're not seeing me now, they're just hearing me.
Yes,
Okay.
but now they're saying that you need to use a corky pen because they can't see the, you use the very light pen.
Okay. I'm trying, but now if I'm going to use the corky pen,
or you can use a pen, like something that will show.
Yeah, but
yes.
now
Okay.
get it in a position. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know what you talk about. I think I must write on it again. Like.
Yeah, or you can use a pen. Let's see when you use a pen. Yeah, I think this one is darker.
Okay.
Alright, so let me. Yeah.
Alright, learners. We are now at question 1.3. Okay? We're moving to a different scenario. What is our scenario? What is our context here? It's dealing with measurement mass. Okay? Let's look at the context. Quite simplistic. The photograph below shows an electronic kitchen scale in grams with 3 fruits placed on the scale. There's your 3 fruits. You have your pear, your peach, and your plum. And then you see there's a value of 394. That is obviously the weight of all 3 fruits combined. Okay? So, what else are they telling us? They are saying the mass of the pear is 128 grams. So that value of 394, you see there, is a value in grams. Okay? The mass of the plum is half the mass of the pear. Okay? You can immediately work out that because they will never give you a sum or a statement. They give you a statement without the need for you to work with it. So you could immediately halve 128 by dividing it by 2, and you will get 64. Okay, and keep that in mind in case it might be asked. Okay, and note, they say 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. Let's see what this context want from us, what mathematical concepts they want us to know. Use the photograph and information above and answer the questions that follow. Number 1, 3.1.1. Convert the total mass of fruit into kilograms. Convert grams into kilograms. Number 2, 1.3.2. The pear is removed from the kitchen scale. Write down the new reading in grams shown on the kitchen scale. Remove Okay, remove, another word for remove mathematically could be minus. Okay. 1.3.3, show how the mass of 202 grams for the peach was calculated. Okay, show. So they give you the answer already. You just need to show them how you get to 202 grams. The word show is very important to understand. The answer is already given to you. It means the answer is already given to you, and you just need to calculate and showing the exact answer of 202 grams. Okay? That is 3 marks question. Number 1.3.4. Determine the probability of randomly selecting a banana from the fruit placed on the kitchen scale. Determine the probability of randomly selecting a banana from the fruit placed on the kitchen scale. Okay, so you have to see if you see any bananas there, and if you see no bananas, what is the term that you use in probability for nothingness, for seeing nothing that they ask you there. Number 1.3.5. Write down the simplified ratio of the total mass of fruit, 2. Remember, how do we do the 2 in ratio? How do we represent the 2 in ratio? Again, let me start the question. Write down the simplified ratio of the total mass of fruit to the total mass of the pear. Okay? I'm going to give you 4 minutes. 4 minutes to quickly try and answer these questions, and then we will do comparison of our answers. Now I need to write this quickly in darker. Huh? Huh? Okay.
So what you can do, someone is you can give them a question, then they can. Did you give them a question?
Yeah, I gave them, and now I gave them 4 minutes to.
Okay, no problem.
Am I still on mute? So if I want to unmute, I press this button in. Do you think 4 minutes is over? What's 3 so? Okay. 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 I think 4 minutes is over. I do not have, yeah, I see my watch here. Okay. Perfect. The first question here, convert the total mass. What we find as markers is that learners tend to guess. There is no better way than just to rote learn your conversions, your factors of kilograms to grams, grams to kilograms to grams, grams to kilograms. Please, learners, there is no better way than to just do rote learning when it comes to your conversion of factors, meters to kilometers, liters to kiloliters, etc. Okay? So we have, let's see, let's go up. Let's go up. Okay. Okay, we have 394 grams. How much does that represent as kilograms? So what did we do there? We have to divide 394 grams divided by 1,000 gives you 0.3 kilograms. Okay? There we go. Secondly, the question asks, the pay is removed. Okay, the pay is removed from the kitchen scale. The remove is your literacy word for another word for minus. Okay, the difference. Find the difference. Minus. So 394 minus 128. Okay, if the pay is removed, what will be the new reading? The new reading in grams will be now 266. After you have removed your pay, which weighs 128 grams, you remove your pay from 394 grams, and your answer should be 266 grams. Let's move on. You have your 3 marks here. They say, show how the mass of 202 grams for the peach was calculated. Okay, I've done 2 options here. I'm having 2 options. My first option, I said the plum. Let's look at the plum. The plum is half of the pay. So the plum is 128 grams divided by 2 gives me 64 grams. Then my peach will be the 266 grams minus the 64 grams, which gives me the answer of 202 grams. Okay, so I'm showing with this first option how the 202 grams was calculated. Okay, the second option could be you use your total value on the scale of 394 grams and you minus your 128, as well as minusing the, what was it now? The plum, which is half the mass of the pea. Okay, it's in brackets 128 divided by 2. Okay, in brackets 128 divided by 2. So you have your original value of your scale 394 minus 128 minus that 64. So next step, 394 minus 192 gives you a value of 202. We have two options there, okay, of answering. Number 4, 1.3.4. They ask, determine the probability of randomly selecting a banana from the fruit placed on the kitchen side. Do you see a banana? Do you see a banana? I don't see a banana. So there is no banana. How do I represent that in the probability factor? I can either say 0%, or there's 0, it's either 0%, yeah, 0%, or 0, or 0 out of 3. Why 3? It's 3 fruit there. You have your peach, your pear, and your plum. So out of the 3 fruit, there is no banana. So whichever way you represent it is acceptable. Either 0% in percentage there, or 0 as is, or as a fraction 0 out of 3. Perfect. Come, let's go on. Last question pertaining to this context is write down in the simplified ratio of the total mass of fruit to the total mass of the pear. And here we find our learners struggle to represent ratio. Okay? The minute you hear the word 2, it represents these 2 dots there. Okay? So, also very important is you can't just decide to swap anything around. You have to first put the item given to you first. What is the item given to us? They say the total mass of fruit. So you can't decide now to put the mass of the pear in front. Okay, you need to read the question and look at what is asked first. So the total mass of fruit, that value is 394 to, there we go, to 128. And we know the universal ruling is always to simplify where possible. And in this case, we simplify by dividing 128 divided by itself. 128 gives you a value of 1 in the simplest form there. Alright? So, I balance my sum. What I do on my right hand side, I also do on my left hand side. So 394 divided by 128 will give me 3,08. Okay? And learners, I know they are not comfortable because when we were first introduced to ratio, maybe at primary school, it was always simple. Okay, there was no even and odd numbers mixed. It would be even. 7:14 is 1:2, or 81:9. Okay, it's you always had course or no odds. Okay, but now when you are in grade 12, you need to familiarize yourself that your ratios could be asked with commas. The answers could be given with commas, alright, so even in an odd, big values with small values could be could be asked, okay? It's not so simple, but the method of doing your ratio still remains the same. It's just the values are it's not always very simplistic. It's like in this case, 394 to 128, learners will most probably half it, and then have to half it again and half it again. What we do, we just find on the one side to get always right your 1, and then what you do, whatever value you use on the one side to divide, you just divide it also with your left hand side, depending on which side you do first. Alright. Okay, that be it now. It is 5 to 9. Let's move on to the next concept. To the next context, not concept. Okay, here we are at gems, okay? Gems in this concept is dealing with medical aid, maybe. Yeah, let's see. Okay, Mrs. Khan, a teacher from Khan, receives a monthly statement from GEMS. Now, what is GEMS? GEMS is okay, there we have it. Sorry about that. I completely forgot that. I had to change the screen. Okay, question 2. Are you with me, guys? Are you there? I'm not having any interaction, so it feels like I'm talking to myself here. But anyway, let's move on. Question 2. Mrs. Khan, a teacher from Brakpan, received a monthly statement from GEMS. GEMS is the Government Employees Medical Scheme, as shown in Annexure A. Let's see, where's our Annexure A? There is the Annexure A. There is our Annexure A. I can't swap it around. I hope you guys can physically do that. There is Annexure A. But before we go to Annexure A, let's read quickly the context. Okay. Mrs. Khan has one dependent, her son Lee, on her medical aid. What does a dependent mean? It means that child is on a medical aid. It's a child. The child depends on her, obviously, and she pays for him. There's no husband on her medical aid. There's no daughter, only one child, and her son Lee on her medical aid. Okay. Now, my method with this question will always be to first go to your annexure and spend some time. Let's spend some time there to make sense of our annexure. Okay. Let me get my annexure. Okay, if you look at the annexure there, let's try and make sense. Look at the date. You see the date there on your far right? What is the date there? The date is the 15th of the 12th month 2017, or the 15th of December. Okay, the statement date there is the 15th of December. And what is the member's number there, medical aid number there? You see the medical aid number? It's 3526178. Okay. Okay. And let's look at on what date did she go to the pharmacy. What is the name of the pharmacy and what date did she go? She went to Dischem Pharmacy, and the date was on the 8th of December. And for who did she, for which member did she get these medicines for? Was it for herself or for her son? For her son. Why do we know that? The patient's name, under the word patient, under the column patient, you see the name Lady. Okay? And then you see there's a variety of tariff codes. The majority is for chronic. Okay? So chronic means any illness like diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, blood pressure, high blood pressure, asthma, and so forth. Okay, so chronic, he might be having a chronic illness. They don't state, but I'm just trying to explain to you what is the meaning of chronic. It's usually an illness that you have for life, that stays with you there permanently, and that you get treated for life. For that illness. Okay, then acute. Then you have acute medicine. So what is the meaning of acute? Acute. It is a medicine that is now maybe when you went to the doctor saw now that he's having some other side effects other than maybe he's diabetic, for example, and now he has a rash, or he's having pains in his feet or something, and then the doctor prescribed another medicine or some tablets for him, and that now falls under acute because it's not listed under his normal chronic medicine. So that is why you will find the word there, acute. Okay? And what else is there to make sense of? Okay. Who's the doctor? The doctor is Dr. M. Dihlamini. Okay, and that number there is the doctor's practice number. When you are on medical aid one day, hopefully, you will, it's very important that your medical aid gets the practice number of the doctor. Okay, in order to pay the account and to know if the doctor is registered as a doctor. And what type of doctor is this? It's a general practitioner, or we just sometimes call it a GP. Now you know where the word GP comes from. It's general practitioner. Okay? What else? What else is there? Quite a bit. There you see below, look at the column where it says see below. You see there are codes there, 9505, okay? Another code lower down is 817, okay? And then you see the summary of codes. What does 9505 means? It means pre-authorization is required. They can't just give or allow you to buy the medicine without informing and getting authorization approval from your medical aid. Okay? Like I said earlier, it is not on the list of the usual monthly medication that he gets. It's for a condition that he just developed whilst being at the doctor decided to give him some medication, but that medication can only be bought or given to him after he got authorization from the medical aid by the pharmacy now, or the pharmacists have to now phone the medical aid and tell them that the doctor prescribed this medicine and can we forward it, and then the medical aid consultant will say yes or no based on funds or if it is within the necessary codes. Okay. Now, what does the code 870 mean? It means it's the overall limit exceeded. Okay? For the medical aid gives us a total amount to spend for the year. Okay? And say for example, for going to the dentist, you get 5,000 rand. Now you exhausted, meaning you have depleted that 5,000 rand. The 5,000 rand is finished, but you still need to go to the dentist. Okay, your filling came out, for example, you ate a hot pear and then you bite and your filling broke off. So now you go to the dentist, and now you have to pay out of your pocket. You have to pay cash, because once your funds are depleted for the year, for that particular year, you will have to pay for anything that you need out of your pocket. Okay, so it's not just a blanket approach. When you're on medical aid, you can go whole year anytime. You only go for as long as there are the specific funds allocated to your specific needs. Okay, they break it up into doctor's visits, dentistry, and etc., etc., etc. The only thing that is 100% guaranteed is if you are in hospital, if you get hospitalized. Okay? Okay, enough said. So, let's look at how much the member now owes the supplier, based on the fact that the funds are exceeded, the funds is finished, funds up. So the member must pay 445 rand 10 cents, okay, out of his or her own pocket. Okay? Okay? The medical aid will cover all the other expenses, the other costs, but part of the cost the member must pay, because her funds no longer covers all the medicines that she needs for her funds has been exhausted, and that is so common. It's a very common scenario for us that use medical aid, especially if you look at the month. When it's December, it's the last month of the year, you have been going to the doctor maybe frequently, or you have been more than usual, but usually by December it is a very common scenario that whatever medical aid cost you have, most probably you will have to pay, especially for over-the-counter medicine, you have to pay by yourself. Okay, so now, okay, there's something else here before I go to the questions. Okay, now we own this, we own the story. We understand the statement. Okay, now that we understand the statement, now we can go to our questions. Okay, there is a summary, before we go to our questions, is a summary of financial information. Okay. The member pays or gets tax rebates based on how much she uses her medical aid. Okay, so up to date, the tax claimable for her is tax claimable to date. Do you see that at the bottom on your left side? And the summary of financial information is 5,326 rand and 66 cents. You see that, guys? Okay, just take note of it. It could be maybe a question pertaining to the tax claimable. Okay, now let us go to our actual questions now. Okay, it's very important. You can tear this annexure off from your question paper, and then you sit with the questions and question papers. Question with the annexure next to each other. Okay, and it's easier because you will obviously have to answer your questions from the reading from the annexure A, so it's best to just have it next to each other. Alright, let's get started with our question. Use annexure A to answer the questions that follows. Alright. 2.1.1, which month is covered by the statement? Now you see how imperative, how important, how much value it is first to go to making sense of your document, whatever is given to you. So by the time you get into your question, it's much easier. It's much easier to understand and answer. Number 2.1.1, which month is covered by the statement? Number 2.1.2, state why the member had to pay 445.10 cents to the supplier. The supplier here is the skin. Okay, he supplies the medicine for the patient. Okay, it's the skin. Supplier referred to the skin in this case. Write down the name of the general practitioner that was visited. Okay, quite straightforward. 2.1.4, calculate the new price of the acute medication under the tariff code if the price increased by 6.3%. Okay, calculate the new price. So the price you see there, you need to give a new price. How come and how? By increasing that price that you see there by 6.3%. And which medicine is it? It is the acute medication. Okay, I'm just quickly breaking up this question for you. They say calculate what? The acute medication. Okay, under the tariff code. Okay, if the price increased by 6.3%. Okay. Number 2.1.5, calculate the total amount of tax claimable in the previous statements if the tax claimable is the amount paid by the member directly to the supplier. Again, read with understanding. Calculate what? Calculate the total amount of tax claimable in the previous statements if the tax claimable amount is paid by the member directly to the supplier. What do we do? Do we add or do we deduct? Okay? We have to make sense of that question there. Number 2.1.6, again a concept. Again a concept, and this is again another financial concept like I mentioned earlier. You need to familiarize yourself with understanding financial concepts. Define the term debit within the context of the statement. What does debit mean within the story? What do we understand by debit? Number 2.1.7, show how the total amount of 479.75 was calculated. Show. Again, when you get a word show, they give you the answer already. They give you the answer already. You just need to know how to do the calculations, show how they got the amount of 479.75 cents. I'm going to give you 6 minutes because this is quite a longer 7 questions here. I'm going to give you 6 minutes to answer and we will compare our answers. And if needs be, I so much wish I can get some interaction from any one of you guys to know if I'm on the right track with you, and if there's anything that I need to perhaps improve on. So 6 minutes starts now. It is, oh no, my watch is always ahead of time. It shows 1:15. Hi. No greetings. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, learners, let's get back to our question. I would like to fit in as many questions as possible before we get to our first break. Okay. Like I said before, these questions becomes much easier. The fact that we first went to our annexure and we made some sense of our annexure, isn't it? Okay, so which month is covered by the statement? Yes, all hands up. Yes, December, the last month of the year. Okay, December. Number 2.1.2 states why the member had to pay 45 rand 10 cents. Can you see that? Okay. Her funds were exhausted, pilile, finish, halas, klaar. Okay? So now she owes the supplier and she needs to pay the supplier out of her pocket. Okay? There we go. Number 3. Write down the name of the general practitioner visited. And the name is, yes, you all right. Perfect. Good. Dr. Flamini. Yes. Okay. Next question. Calculate the new price for her acute medication. We identified what price are they referring to, what value are they referring to. They're referring to the 736.90 cents, and it is a plain percentage increase sum. But what we find when we mark is so sad that learners forget there's 2 steps. If you do option 1, the one example that I'm going to show you now, if you do option 1, there's always 2 steps. When you hear increase, okay, you work out your percentage. That is your step 1. And now step 2 is to now add your answer that you get to your original value or your original price. The step 2 is where learners lose marks, okay? And out of those 3 marks, they end up only getting 1 mark. So please, learners, be mindful. Be mindful when it comes to calculation of percentage, because it seems easy. Yes, it is easy, but our learners tend to forget that there is 2 steps. It's not just finding the percentage worth, but what you do with that percentage worth, you now have to add it on, okay? If it is decrease, it means now you just have to minus it, okay? It's either increase or decrease percentage, okay? But remember, there's always 2 steps. Let's see, okay? What did I write here? Can you see here? See that? Okay. What I do there I do my simple calculation. Easy. 90% of the learners, no, let me give you credit, not 90%. How can I underestimate 10% of our learners? No, 100% of you know this. It's 736 rand 90 multiplied by 6,3 over 100 equals to 46 rand 42. Now another thing here, before I forget, is that learners will come up with these funny things, these funny MacGyvers, you can call it. They will not say, but Miss, I will not say like this, man. I will say 736 90 over 100 times 6,3 is the same. Please, people, it's not the same. Please avoid it. Please avoid, okay? Please avoid saying the 100 is the percentage value. It goes with the 6,3. You can't say 736,9 divided by 100 times 6,3. Okay? Okay? Or, yeah, that is the one common mistake learners do. And then they argue and they argue, but it's almost right. No, in many cases, it's not. Okay? So just stick with the simplistic, plain and simple method by all means. Okay? So, there you get your 46, 42, and this is where the learners usually leaves the question out. Okay, this is where they leave it. That's the answer. So it's 46 Rand 42. But the question, what is the question asking you? What is the new price if the price increased by 46 Rand 42 cents? Okay, so additional step. And what is the additional step? I have to now add. I have to add my percentage. 46 Rand 42 cents. I added to 736. Okay, I forgot the 6 there. 736 Rand 90 cents plus 46 Rand 42. It's giving you the new price will be now, the new increased price will be now 783 Rand and 32 cents. Okay. Okay. There's another method. It's very important to also have different methods here because we're not all alike. We think differently, and there's not one way of finding an answer. Okay, this is a little bit more sophisticated. We have different level of potentials of learners and thinking ability and reasoning ability. So here's another option. The other option is now option 2. I hope you can see it clearly. I hope you can see it clearly because I'm just scribbling. I'm not having my best handwriting here. Okay, option 2, percentage increase. That 100% represents the 736 Rand 90 cents. You see? 736 Rand 90 cents is the original amount, the 100% of the amount. But now we want to add that, and we will now say 100% plus 6.3%. Gives me a total of 106.3%. Okay, what do I do now? What do I do now? I will use my 106.3 divided by 100, and I'll multiply it with 700, my original value, 736 Rand 90 cents, and it will immediately give me my answer. The new increased price is 782 Rand, 783 Rand and 32 cents. This is safest, this is a safer option because we will not fall into the mistake where we will leave, like in option 1. Remember, do you see there? You have 2 steps. In option 1, you have your value, you get your Rand value of your 6.3%, and then you have to still add. Here, when you calculate using this formula of 106.3 over 100 times 736 Rand 90 cents, you immediately get to the answer. Okay, and that is a bonus there. Okay, and there's your full 3 marks. Okay, next 2.1.5. 2.1.5. What was the question? Calculate the total amount of tax claimable in the previous statement if the tax claimable is the amount paid by the member directly to the supplier. Okay, Now, do you see there, if you look at your, let's go back to our, yes, if you look here at your summary of, do you see there, the summary of your financial information here, you see the two member pay supplier, debit, she paid the supplier 445 rand 10 cents. Do you see that? 445 rand 10 cents. And now the tax claimable to date without the 445 rand 10 cents is 5,326 rand 66. But now, what happens now? What should happen now? Because she pays it out of her own pocket, it is not be the same tax claimable amount, okay? How do we know that? We now have to deduct. Okay, here's the answer here. We now have to deduct the value. You see that? I'm trying that you don't lose focus or the scribbling. You see? Can you see that? Is it clear? Okay, near. Go. Okay, perfect. Okay. You see? So you take your taxable amount of 5,326 rand and 66 cents and you minus it with that money she owes the supplier of 445 rand 10 cents. So the new taxable amount, claim taxable amount will be 4,881 rand and 56 cents. Alright? Okay. Can we go on? The next question is our concept understanding. Define the term debit within the context of the statement. Within the context of the statement. Can you see that one there? Okay. This is money the member must pay the supplier. When we did our analysis of the Annexure A, we discussed it already, so I think it's quite easy for you. This question should have been quite easy for you. Okay? This money is not covered or paid by the medical aid, and it's money that she must pay the supplier herself. Okay. Now, let's move on to 2.1.7. Show. Again, when they say show, you should be getting the exact answer. Okay? Show. Okay? There's two methods, there's two ways of getting this, or doing the sum, of showing the value of 479.75 cents. Okay? Option 1. What did I do there? What can a learner do there? Learner A could choose to use 1,661.75 cents. Now, on your annexure, where is 1,161 rand? On the annexure, it is here, okay? Where do I get? It is under the total amounts, 1,661.75 cents. You all with me, guys? Like I said, it's better to keep your annexure on your desk next to you. Take it off from your question paper so that you know you can just refer to it anytime when needs be. Okay. So there, that is where I got my 1,161.75 cents from. And then I minus it with 736.90. You see that? 736.90, because the medical aid must first be consulted before they can before they can give it to the patient. You see that? Like we said now, you can see now, that is not yet covered by the medical aid. So you deduct that from all these values. So, as well as your 445 rand 10 cents there. These medicines was now exhausted, okay? It was now exhausted. These two extra chronic medication that he needed was now exhausted, and he needs to pay 445 rand 10 cents. So if you minus from the total the acute and the money that she needs to pay out of her pocket, you will find the amount that they show, that they say show how it is being calculated for 479 rand and 75 cents. Okay, you with me, guys? It's almost break time. Don't worry, don't stress. 15 minutes break time is coming up soon. Option 2. Can you see it? So start with option 2. Option 2, there we go. Another way of finding that 479 rand and 75 cents will be adding these values here, starting from 173 rand and 3 cents plus 117 rand 44 cents plus your 61 rand 50 cents plus your 80 rand 98 cents plus your 46 rand 80, and it stops just there, because these values here, these values of 343 and 102 10 cents, this the member must pay out of her own pocket. The 736 rand 90 cents here is not yet approved by the medical aid. Okay, and we get our answer there. 2 ways. You choose. Let me know which one was easiest from these 2 options for you to make sense of. I would love a response from you guys. I know there's some schools that are experiencing some technical difficulties. Let's hope we are all sorted and that we are on board. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, back to our question, guys. Back to our question. What context is this? What story is this now? We move away from the medical aid. You see how many places we are going to. Maths literacy. We are having so many scenarios, so many real life scenarios we can deal with. We were at the municipality, we were at gyms, and now we are again with a potential entrepreneur who is coming up with a business plan or a business idea. Let's see what is the story all about. Let's make sense. It is saying John is interested in running a small, okay, just leave the gym story now. Okay. John is interested in running a small internet station in a coffee shop. Okay, that is what the guy would like to do. He would like to start the internet business where? In a coffee shop. Okay. He searches the internet and finds the advertisement below on a website www.wish.com. All these prices includes 14% VAT. Includes meaning the VAT is already added into this value that you see there, no? On top of this value, into the value on top of the value, whichever way makes sense to you. Okay, so again, what is the story about? Who is this guy? This guy is John, and his intention is to run an internet station in a coffee shop. Okay, And so he's now looking at products or all the things that he might be needing for it. And what one of these things are a portable pocket hotspot. Okay, he sees and he finds this on the website and he's looking at the prices. He said it was 988 rand, it is now 210 rand. Okay, so the portable pocket hotspot is PPH is 988 rand, but now it sells at 210 rand. Next item he looks at is the new ultra thin mouse, UTM. I'm like USB, but it's UTM. Was 223 rand. Wow, look at the bargain. It's now selling for 13 rand. Wow. Okay. So, let's look at the questions. It says, study the advertisement above and answer the questions that follows. Okay. Number 1. What 2.2.1? Okay. What does the acronym VAT stand for? All hands up. Everyone knows that, obviously. Okay. Very common. Okay. Common question. Very easy to understand. VAT. What does it stand for? Calculate the amount of VAT payable on the old price for PPH. Calculate the amount of VAT payable on the old price for the, which one? PPH. Now, the word for PPH is your portable pocket hotspot. Okay? 2.2.3, calculate the difference. What does the word difference relate to mathematically? The word difference relate to minus. Okay. Okay, calculate the difference between the new price and the old price of the UTM. What does UTM stand for? The new ultra thin mouse. Okay, so 3 minutes, you guys. It's not that difficult. 3 minutes. What do you say? 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Let's give it 2 minutes. Okay. Okay. Okay, learners, I was just told now we are having our short break. We will come back and finish this question. Okay? So enjoy this short break. Go stretch your legs, have an apple, go to the toilet, and we come back refreshed. 15 minutes. Okay? I thank you. Bye-bye.